Hello, Tottenham Hotspur fans. My name is Crystal Plant, and welcome to Spurs Roundup. This week's debut edition of Spurs Roundup will feature my analysis of the Europa League clash between FK Karabag and Tottenham Hotspur, as well as today's contest between Tottenham Hotspur and Chelsea FC in the Barclays Premier League. We'll also have a transfer rumor of possibly Saida Berahino joining Spurs this January. But first, the Europa League clash between FK Karabag and Tottenham Hotspur. Coming off a 4-1 victory over West Ham, Mauricio Pochettino decides on making only 3 changes to his starting 11, which had Spurs fans concerned because of the amount of trouble that the team has to do to play Karabag, and then later coming back and playing at Chelsea on Sunday in the Premier League. The first half had been relatively dull. Not many goal scoring opportunities for either side, but second half started off with Karabag playing more in a defensive shell, looking just to come away with a draw. But that gave opportunities to Spurs on 3 different occasions, at least 3 different occasions, of taking the lead. The first coming from Son Heung-min, when he turned and cracked a blistering shot off the crossbar, which could have given Spurs a lead as it had beaten the goalkeeper. Later on, Dele Alli, this time hits the post, and again could have given Spurs the lead, and it had beaten the goalkeeper as well. But it wasn't until the 78th minute on a Christian Eriksen corner where Eriksen whips in a cross, and Son Heung-min heads the ball into the path of Harry Kane, where Harry Kane heads it past the goalkeeper for the goal. And it turns out Harry Kane's goal had proven to become the Spurs winning goal and advancing Spurs into the round of 32 of the Europa League with 1 game to spare. And that game comes December 10th at White Hart Lane against AS Monaco. Man of the match for me was Son Heung-min with his high energy. It took him a little while to get going, but his constant pressure on the back 4 of Karabag, and his near goal and his assist gave the man of the match for me, in my mind, to him. Today, Chelsea visited White Hart Lane to face what appears to be a burnt-out Tottenham Hotspur team. I say appears because there weren't that many good goal-scoring opportunities for Spurs in the match. They did dominate possession throughout the match, but to me it seemed like most of the dangerous goal-scoring opportunities came from Chelsea. In the 20th minute, Eden Hazard nearly scores on a header on a cross from Willian, but he just sails it over the goal. And in the second half, Spurs had their best goal-scoring opportunity when Harry Kane whips in a cross in front of goal, and Son Heung-min heads it towards the goal, but Asmir Begovic makes the save and prevents Tottenham from breaking through. In the 68th minute, Eden Hazard nearly scores on a blistering shot low and across the goal mouth, and I don't know how he managed to do this, but Hugo Lloris made a spectacular save that pushed the ball around the goal and out for a corner kick. That save and many saves during the match gives Hugo Lloris the Man of the Match award as Spurs and Chelsea come to a 0-0 draw on a day where if with a win and a coupled with a Arsenal draw or loss would have moved Spurs up into fourth place in the table. Unfortunately, they only gained a point, and now it remains to be seen whether or not Arsenal will win or not. But I don't think the travel was an excuse for Spurs' performance because Mauricio Pochettino has this team trained to the point where they are the fittest team in the Premier League, and they certainly could have done more. But I'll take the draw, and Spurs now are undefeated in the Premier League in their last 13 matches. The last loss coming opening day against Manchester United. So, hats off to them. Great match. Next week they face West Bromwich Albion, and hopefully Spurs will come away with a win. On to transfer rumors. So on Sunday, the Star reports that Tottenham Hotspur are now being linked with another bid for West Bromwich Albion's striker Saida Berahino. I don't know if that it's going to ever come to fruition, but the report also states that Andros Townsend may be involved in the deal, where Andros Townsend gets shipped to the Baggies. I don't think it will happen. Just my opinion. I would like to see Berahino join, but at this stage, I don't think it will happen. They don't need to make a whole lot of transfer moves other than just trying to bring in another striker or two to relieve Harry Kane, because there's always a concern that Harry Kane will be burnt out by the end of the season. So it'll be nice to have another option. Other strikers that are on the list: Charlie Austin, Moussa Dembele, and even reports of possibly Alexander Pato from Sao Paulo joining Spurs come January. I personally feel that Pato is not that great of a player. Last time he was in Europe, he struggled. So I just don't know if he would be the right move. Charlie Austin, great player. Definitely played really well last season in his first time up into the top flight. However, I just feel like he's starting to get too old, and Mauricio Pochettino's emphasis on youth development is probably going to rule him out as well. So I would like to see Moussa Dembele from Fulham join Spurs this winter. He's been in fantastic form in the Championship for the Cottagers, and I think he would be the best fit for Mauricio Pochettino's scheme. I mean, he's brought up young players like Ryan Mason, and now Harry Kane, and now Dele Alli from MK Dons, who they acquired last January. And so going from League One to the Premier League and being a smashing success so far this season, I just like the way Mauricio Pochettino is emphasizing the youth, whether it be from the academy or just young players in general from general transfers. So I like what Mauricio Pochettino is doing with this team. A lot of people weren't too sure he was the right man when he first took the job, but I was convinced even last season that he was the right man for the job. And come on, you Spurs. So, well, that's it for this week's edition of Spurs Roundup. Until next week, come on, you Spurs.